Hello and welcome to my channel. This is my podcast. It is called Make a Change, and this is the very first episode. In this episode, it is not very structured. It will be just me talking. I do not have a script. The only thing I know is that this is a new chapter, and this is my podcast. It's called Make a Change, and in this very first episode, I want to introduce myself, telling you who I am, who is Kate, and what is my message, and what will I deliver within my business. Alright, let's get started. Okay, my name is Kate, as I have already said, originally Katharina Schuster. So I am from Germany and I moved to Australia about 8 years, pretty exactly today, 8 years ago. And before I moved here, I actually lived in Ireland. So when I was growing up, I was dancing and I was actually in a theater group in school. And especially, I also was doing martial arts, but especially through my dancing time, it was like you had to be skinny. So I did ballet, and later on I did, like, we called it show dance. But because we were wearing quite sexy outfits and we were actually all underage still, you had to be like this, and especially in ballet it is like this. So because I'm not naturally skinny, I was starving myself down at the age of like 13-14 years old, which didn't give me a great start in like puberty. And so that already set me up with not a really great relationship with food. So later on, when I was growing up, that actually had not really a good effect on me, because I was restricting and I was binging. Later on, it went into a binging disorder. So I was literally eating 3,000 to 4,000 calories within 30 minutes. I did not purge. I did purge every now and then when I was really sick, but this was really just because I was sick. I had this sort of putting the finger into my mouth very often, but I never actually did it, apart from a few times, which was just like I was so sick. I always knew that this is not healthy, this is not great, but at the same time I also didn't really know how to get out of there. So when I was in Ireland, I had this girl working with me, and she was like, she had a body that I always wanted to have. She actually was working as a model as well, but she was at this time in training to become a fitness instructor, later on a personal trainer, and she was also a nutritionist. So I was kind of trying to be like her, but obviously I was not her. And I decided to ask her for help, which was a good idea. So we went to the gym together, and she showed me a few exercises, and she also wrote up a meal plan for me, just to give me an idea. She didn't charge me back then, because at this point she wasn't qualified. But she helped me to get a better understanding on how to eat right, and also, how to pick up a dumbbell in the gym, because I really had no fucking clue how to do that. And I realized that my body was changing very quickly, actually, new begins. And I was really happy with that. And then I decided to start studying nutrition as well, because the nutrition part actually was more, I felt more interested into the nutrition rather than into the personal training, exercise, lifting weight part. So I thought, when I become like a nutritionist, I even was thinking of studying to become a dietitian. And if I'm working in this job, like, I have to be like in shape and thin, because only then I would be accepted in this job. So this was actually my thought of doing this kind of job. I was no way of like helping people. It was like literally just yeah, when I do this job, I have to be skinny and in shape. Otherwise, I would not be taken serious. Yeah, spoiler alert again, did not work. I did stop this. I did stop studying because I actually was running out of money. And so I couldn't pay for the courses anymore. So then I decided, because in Ireland I was working in finance actually, but I did had only like a half-year contract. So and I was replacing a woman who was away on maternity leave. So I replaced her in that role that she had. My boss back then, she actually wanted to keep me, but I had to move to a different department. But I actually didn't want to do this different department because that was only about calculating expenses of people who was working like outside the office. So I thought that was boring. So I thought what I'm gonna do with my life, and I decided to go to Australia because in that year I also was turning 30 already. And I thought, oh my God, I kind of had like a little bit of a midlife crisis because I thought I was turning 30 and had literally achieved fuck all. But I actually already worked in 3 different countries, and I was working my life in hospitality, and which gave me a really, really good idea of how to speak to people and how to also handle difficult situations, because some people can be very difficult. And so fast forward, I saved up my money to pay for my visa and for my flight and for the first few weeks in Australia, because you had to have a return ticket and as well a certain amount of money. Or it was either a return ticket or a certain amount of money, I can't remember, doesn't matter. And so when I got to Australia, it was kind of a therapy, because I started working on a farm, on an apple farm, which was very physical, so I was doing something completely different. I was in Tasmania, which is just that little island for everyone who's not in Australia, who's watching me from overseas maybe. It's just Tasmania is just that little island of Australia in the southwest, I think. Just off Melbourne. And so there's where I started. And I saved up enough money and traveled around Australia. Firstly with another girl. I became friends with that girl I met in Adelaide. And then we traveled a little bit together, but then I went on a second journey where I traveled around Australia like 10,000 kilometers all by myself. And that was actually like therapy, because I really got to know myself. I really was thinking about what do I actually want. I always was still thinking of the thought of going back to university to finish my nutrition studies. But yeah, just didn't have the money really. And so I ran out of money again and landed in this little town called Pine Creek, which is in the Northern Territory, just about 2 hours south of Darwin, where I met my boyfriend, with whom I'm owning a house now in Pine Creek. And we live together, we've been together for about 7 years now. And so I had a job, I settled down a bit, and I was making good money and decided to go back to uni and to do my studies. Like, I finished my nutrition, so my diploma in health and nutrition science, and did a PT certification on top. But this time I didn't do it to be skinny. I did it because I was really passionate about the nutrition and the exercise. I started going to the gym on a regular basis. I really had a foundation. I started building muscle. I started to see my body changing, and I really got passionate. So I worked for another PT for a little bit, and then I started my own business, which was called Fit and Well. So that was my first business. And throughout this time, I started working with my few first clients. And I really had no fucking clue what I was doing, because I knew it all in theory, but working with people is like a complete different level, because you know the nutrition and the exercise and how to do it all in theory, but then you're working actually with a real person, and you have to, and that real person has problems. That real person maybe doesn't know how to do the exercise, so you have to explain, and that person maybe has problems to do the exercise because of a knee injury or back pain or something else, and then there is problems with nutrition because they maybe have intolerances, allergies, or they have trouble with overeating or undereating, and then they have problems with self-belief, and often there is problem with time because they have family, they have little children, and you're sitting there, so what I'm gonna do? So I learned over the time, and fast forward to now, this year, it's now January 2026, I actually rebranded my business and started my second business, and I'm using my name, Katharina Schuster Coaching. So, and this time, because I had so much time in learning, I actually have now an understanding of people. I have an understanding of what I am capable of, and I have an understanding what I am capable in helping people and what is not my capability. And also I do have a scope of practice, and I can't go outside that scope of practice. So when, for example, in terms of nutrition, that's the main thing, like within personal training, within exercise, I do not have any, I do have a scope of practice, but I have a very wide range of people I'm allowed to work with. But in terms of nutrition, I can only work with people who are basically healthy. So if someone comes, for example, I do need a clearance from a dietitian or from a GP, but if someone comes to me, let's say with an eating disorder or with like a disease, I can't think of anything right now, then I would need a clearance. But in anything that has to do with eating habits, with fat loss, with muscle building, with maintenance, with helping with digestion, these kind of things, that's all within my scope of practice. And I am allowed to do meal plans, I am allowed to do macros, and that's pretty much all I need. And so my clear message is that I want to help busy men and women that are time poor, like myself, that are needing structure and a system and clarity. So often people, they get smashed off with a cookie cutter plan. So here, have this plan, here, have this plan, go on those 1200 fucking calorie diets. They're not gonna, they show you results for a short period of time, surely. But over the long term, you're not gonna be happy. You're not gonna be confident. You're still feeling fatigued. You're still feeling like shit. So what I noticed is that your mindset needs to be in the right place. So what I've done last year, so last year I prepped for my very first bodybuilding show after lifting 10 years of weights. Lifting weights for 10 years, I decided I wanna do this. It's not that I'm very much interested in competing, it was just an ego thing. I just wanted to do it, and I'm actually going to do it again this year, which is an ego thing again. But it's just something I want to do for myself, and this time I know I can do it because I have the whole year I really worked on my mindset. So I actually had a psychologist that helped me, because what I told you at the beginning with those eating disorders and with the binge eating and with the restrict binge cycle, and all of that actually had root causes. I don't want to go too deep into that. I don't want to bore you with more of me. So, but I needed to get out of that, because if I wouldn't get out of this cycle, I would never be able to do a successful bodybuilding prep and actually be in a competitive figure to actually be able to win a show. So so the whole year I was working like at the beginning of the year, I was working with that mindset, and then I was doing like my own therapy, and I really noticed like I was starting actually listening to my clients what their problems are. So often it's time poor, it is like self-belief, self-confidence, and often not really knowing what to do in the gym, not really knowing what to eat. So deep inside of them, they actually do know how to eat, and they know they need to go to the gym to be strong. So, and that is what my core offer, my core principle is. So my core offer is called the Lean Forever method. So what I want to point out with that is that it's not about lean. Lean is often referred to like being like strong and like shredded and like low body fat. That's not necessarily what it means. So it can be, if someone has that goal, then obviously I'm capable of helping that person to get to that goal. I mean, I'm having that goal for myself at the minute, but lean is not only this one body type. Lean does mean like being like a little bit curvy, being leaner than before. Like my client who was on that 16-week Lean Forever method with me, she lost 12 kilograms within 16 weeks. And she is now, I consider her now as lean. She's not shredded or anything, but that was also never her goal. Her goal was to be healthy, to be more confident in herself, to lose her gym anxiety, and to just know what to do and how to eat. And she lost all this weight also because she was planning of getting pregnant and wanted to lose some weight before that. There is a long story, but I don't want to tell that story because I actually haven't asked her for permission. But there was a reason, a long story behind that. But she is now, I'm considering her as lean now. And so that's not only one body type. So lean can mean anything for a person that is just a best version of that person, if that makes sense. So I hope I'm not confusing you with this particular word. And so the message is like this: my coaching is divided into 3 phases. So phase number 1 is you get what you want. The majority of people who are coming to me, they always want to lose weight. So we're getting some weight off you. Let's do that. Let's get that motivation. At the beginning, you know it from yourself probably. When you're starting something new, motivation is high. But in the end of the day, I don't want you to rely on motivation, because motivation will kick your ass. So what we need is a routine, we need structure, we need system, and we need clarity. If you have a structure and a system in place that I will give you, then you will have clarity. Then you will have this aha moment. So, where was I? So when a person comes to me, as I said, the majority comes to me, their goal is weight loss. So we're getting you some weight off. Often it's the belly, it's some arm wings. So we're getting that off you. But then the second phase is we are having some intensity. This is like, I'm calling it the magic pill phase. So we're getting into that magic pill phase. In that phase, you are really getting the routine. You're really getting that aha moment. This is why I need to eat protein. This is why I need to eat carbs before my training. This is everything that she was talking about. So you basically, everything that I'm bombarding you in phase 1 will make sense in phase 2. And then to phase 3, that will be the transformation phase. So you will have achieved the whole goal by yourself, because you will notice that at the beginning you say, I just want to lose a few pounds. But then while we are working together, you will realize, maybe actually that, and maybe actually that, or maybe I want to get stronger. Maybe actually my eating habits don't seem to be too good. Or I actually don't know how I get the protein in. Or I feel fatigue, or I feel tired. So we need to make sure that you're not feeling fatigue anymore, that you're not crashing in the afternoon. that you're having sustained energy throughout the day, and then we're like adjusting all your nutritional. So, and that's coming all together in phase 2. In phase 2, that's why the magic pill, this is when you will really see like your body is changing, and not only your body, also your mind. And then in phase 3, as I said, the transformation phase, you have transformed by then, but then it's about making sure you're not falling back, because at that point, when a person has achieved that goal, that person is like, oh, like I have achieved my goal now I'll just go back to my old habits. And but this is exactly the point when you are regaining all the weight that you have lost. So all the hard work you put in, it's basically for nothing if you're not making sure you're not falling back to your old habits, if that makes sense. And yeah, so that is my message that I want to bring out with Katharina Schuster Coaching. Clarity, structure. Getting rid of it first, magic pill, transformation. And then you will be, with all of that coaching experience, with that mindset change, making you happy, making you feel good, making you confident, and making you sure that you have understood and that you're never ever looking back, never ever falling back to your whole old habits. This is the point of like the lean forever method. And yeah, so that's basically what it's all about. And I hope you liked it. And if you do have any questions, please reach out to me. If you like this episode and if you are wanting to hear more, please ring that little bell, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on the next episode. And I have many interesting topics for you in the planning. And yeah, stay tuned. I hope you like everything that is upcoming. And yeah, this is it. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.